considering the fact that you still had the donation portal on your website available to take donations in, but families in dire need of financial assistance were not able to get those funds. Why?
So we brought the website back up. I'm happy to report that we have given $100 million of financial relief to the people that were impacted by Hurricane Harvey. The website is continuing to stay up, and we are continuing to process applications. And I'm terribly sorry that it was down for 6 days, but having said that, it's very gratifying that it's back up and we're moving the money quickly. We have never embarked on anything like this before. We have never distributed money this quickly. And if I had to do it all over again, I would do it again, because we were able to eventually get money in the hands of the people that needed it.
Last night, I spoke with a 64-year-old man who is on disability. He called the 1-800 number for the Red Cross, and he says he kept getting bounced for about 8 hours. He could not get answers. He wasn't the only individual that has expressed this type of sentiment to us. Your background is with AT&T. You were an executive vice president there. In fact, you were in charge of the $26 billion residential business unit. For someone deeply experienced in phone service, can you explain why victims of Harvey are not getting help through your phone system?
It's simply an issue of volume. And as we're working through these applications and as we're staffing up our phone centers, more and more people are getting through. And as I said, that $100 million has been given to people that were victims of Hurricane Harvey.
On September the 12th, one day into the crashing of this website, there's an image of you posing with a giant check for $500,000 with officials from Taiwan. Yet, as I looked through some Red Cross social media images, there were no images of you actually on the ground on the Red Cross social media pages of you with families here in Southeast Texas. How many hours did you spend in Houston during and after Harvey?
I visited 6 different shelters in Texas and in Florida. I made 2 trips to Texas, spent a few days in Florida. I spoke to residents in those shelters. I heard a lot of thank yous. Ma'am,
Houston is not in Florida. Houston is not in Florida. How many hours were you in Florida? Excuse me, how many hours were you here in Houston in the aftermath of Harvey?
I was there for 2 days in Houston.
By any chance, did you happen to stay at the St Regis?
No, I did not.
We know that members...
If you're implying that our volunteers were staying at...
Go ahead.
If you're implying that our volunteers were staying in expensive hotels, there were 2, 3, 4 people in those hotel rooms. And we got a wonderful discount. And as a result, we were able to house more volunteers. Volunteers are sleeping in tents as I speak. Right. Volunteers are in staff shelters, sleeping together with cots that are right next to each other.
But for the person at home, ma'am, for the family that's suffering, ma'am, for the family that's suffering that sees this and says, you have volunteers staying at the St. Regis, and it's on your watch. How is this not interpreted as a misappropriation of funds for those families out there?
Because we have several volunteers in each room, right, and we got a discount on that hotel. And hotels were difficult to come by. We also have volunteers that are in a military ship off the coast of the Virgin Islands. Right. Our volunteers are oftentimes in areas where they can't even take a shower. Right. Our volunteers are humanitarians. They see a need, they need to fill it. They go right into these places. We brought volunteers to the George R. Brown shelter in Houston in dump trucks, in high water vehicles.
Ms. McGovern, you said you got a discount.
Whatever it takes to deliver comfort and hope.
Ms. McGovern, you said you got a discount at the St. Regis. A lot of questions here about financials. Are you willing to open up your books and show exactly how every dollar is being spent here in Houston?
We do that for every disaster. We provide stewardships with where the money is spent.
I asked, ma'am, are you willing to open up your books? Because right now, ma'am,
Bureau, from yes, yes.
So can we get a copy of how you spent the money?
Yes.
We can. Perfect. We'll be following up on that, because right now we know that there's a
report that shows.
I was going to say, we're going to follow up on that. We appreciate you telling us that we're going to be able to look at your financials, because right now in Washington, we know that there are 2 bills calling for transparency from the Red Cross, but you're offering it up to us and saying you're going to provide us with that transparency. So we do appreciate this.
So the Red Cross is extremely proud of how transparent we are.
Right.
We get the highest ratings from the Better Business Bureau, the highest ratings from Charity Navigator. In addition, we're audited by KPMG, the U.S. Army Audit Agency, the IRS. The GAO periodically does inspections. We're very proud of how we spend the money. We pride ourselves in keeping our overhead low, and we pride ourselves on being outstanding stewards of our donors' dollars.